Hello, everyone. Welcome to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another great episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know we are a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk about with celebrities about various topics and discussions. I am very excited to be introducing my next guest for today's show. They're local here from my hometown, Port Orchard, so this makes it even more special. They're super talented. We have first Mr. Andy. He is a union actor, director, photographer. And we also have Tyler J. He is also an award-winning screenwriter and director. Like I said, they come from my little hometown of Port Orchard, so I'm super excited to talk with them. Everyone, give a warm welcome to Andy and Tyler. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going, Simone?
It's
Hello.
going
It's nice to
wonderful.
be here.
How's it going with you guys?
Going well.
It's great.
Little hot, little hot.
A lot, but that's okay. I know. Oh my gosh, this is why I'm so glad my apartment's covered because it's getting so hot. But I am super excited to be talking with you two gentlemen. I'm gonna go ahead and fire the first question at you, Mr. Andy. What began your guys' passion for film? Andy, you start first.
My passion for film really started when I was just a kid. I was a latchkey kid, as were so many people in my generation. So
Represent.
right, uh, and absent parental structure meant that I had a lot of time where I had to kind of make my own entertainment or find something to do. When you're a kid, a block might as well be 100 miles if you don't have a way to, be chauffeured to where you need to go. So I spent a lot of time alone watching movies. I watch movies for comfort. I watch movies to laugh. I watch movies to escape. I wore out Ghostbusters on VHS. I wore out. This is gonna, Tyler. You may literally disown me as a friend after this. License to Drive was legitimately my favorite movie as a kid. It's this.
Oh no, I'm not. I won't judge you for License to Drive.
It's so bad. It's so bad. But movies were always there for me. So
Yes.
because of that, I always had a desire to sort of make them or make something that sort of captured it captured something entertaining that I could share with other people, because so many people had captured entertainment and shared it with me, and that's where my passion started.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and I know what you mean, kind of movies being there for you, because it just kind of movies kind of make you feel like you're home, make you feel like you're not alone. One of my favorite all-time favorites is the Harry Potter films. I even got a tattoo to represent it. So like, I get what you mean by that. I do.
Yeah.
Connection. You get connection through it. So and you get a different perspective. So I completely understand that. Mr. Tyler, going to go ahead and ask you the same question. What began your passion for films?
Same answer. Bad childhood. Pretty much. I reading and movies were my two big things as a kid. One of the reasons why I am still, I guess, attracted to sci-fi, fantasy, weird stuff. Whether it was a book or a movie, as a kid, I really liked enjoying worlds and stories that nowhere in that universe did my house exist. Like, I didn't really like growing up, and so Star Wars or Star Trek or Lord of the Rings, my house wasn't there. Like, none of my problems existed anywhere in that world, and so it kept me sane. And so I was a writer ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I wrote stories from basically as soon as I learned to read. I was a huge fan of movies as well as books. I got my start as a writer, writing prose and poetry and other stuff like that. And I always had the ambition to write screenplays. And when I moved to Seattle, I ran headfirst into the film community here, and so very quickly I kind of migrated over from writing books and stuff to writing scripts. And I thought I was just going to be a writer, but then as soon as I got a hold of a camera, and the first time I directed and the first time I edited, it turns out that I kind of love those things almost more. And so I guess my answer is just bad childhood, huge film nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally understand though. I do. When you watch films like The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like you just said, your problems are not there. You're meant to this whole world, and it just everything's just melting away, and you're sucked into this whole different world. So I totally did it. Same thing myself. So
And then I'll add one more thing actually,
of course.
because I said Tolkien and then you said Lord of the Rings, and it did make me want to say that I probably, like a lot of people, in 2001, Lord of the Rings came out. I was like 18 or 19. And of course it blew me away. I didn't think it was going to be very good. And then it was. The Fellowship in theaters, it was one of my top 5 theater experiences of all time. But
Agreed.
anyway, Peter Jackson and that whole crew did something really amazing, which is they put out, I don't know, it's like 4 hours per DVD. It wasn't just a behind the scenes. It was, this is how you make a movie. And they broke it down. It's a $500 million Hollywood studio project, and they treated it like a student film, and like it was a masterclass on how to make movies. And when I watched that stuff, I became more fascinated than I was before, because I realized it was actually possible, that it wasn't wizardry, that I've loved storytelling. I think Andy's the same way. Like, we love storytelling and comedy and drama and all of that stuff, but the behind the scenes problem solving, like how to make a movie, is just as interesting. And as soon as I saw how possible and feasible it was, like that was kind of the no turning back point for me.
Oh, I agree. And I agree on that. Top 5 movie experience, Lord of the Rings, first movie, hands down. I was so blown away. That movie stuck with me for just days. Like, I could not shake it off. So
Yeah.
totally understand about that. Like, they do. Oh my goodness. So going on to the number 2 questions, Mr. Andy, coming back to you. Name some of your guys' work for the J Lounge audience. Mr. Andy, I know you are, as I said, an actor and director. What are some of your works that you've done?
Well, as an actor, I've done a lot of voice work. The most well-known stuff is going to be 1-2 Switch for the Nintendo Switch. It was a launch game.
Oh, cool.
I get to do
Oh, cool.
something like 70% of the male voices in that. So
yeah.
That one's great, because my voice made it onto a Super Bowl commercial. It was non-union, so I didn't get anything out of it. But at the time, that's what I was taking. But I had to record the word fire in the gunslinger section, because they forgot to get it from Nick, the guy who did the actual sort of low gravelly gunslinger voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to sit there and do a sound alike for it. So my voice ended up in a Super Bowl commercial, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've done voice work for Give Us a Cthulhu Adventure, which is a small Polish game that's a point and click adventure, a lot of fun. Voice work for Seattle Mariners.
Wow.
Chaldea, which is a locally produced fantasy series by the guy who owns Gen Con. So that's pretty fun. I'm going to hold off and let Tyler talk a little bit about the stuff we've done together, which is the bulk of what we're doing and what I've done recently. But just other stuff non-related to the work that we've done together. The Gamers series, which is another local production that's kind of got a wider appeal. So the Gamers, Hands of Fate, Journey Quest, Humans and Households. Locally, again, Dynamo Dream, which was made by Ian Hubert. That's an actual on-camera appearance. These are now on-camera appearances. So Ian,
shout out to Ian. You should have him on your show.
Shout out to Ian.
You guys are genius.
Yes. Ian does lazy tutorials, which they are 1 to 8 minute Blender tutorials on YouTube. He works for the Blender Foundation, not directly, but they bring him to talk a lot. And he recently released Dynamo Dream, which is a 3-year green screen primarily filming project that is all done with VFX, just at a small local studio that he's built here in Port Orchard. So very cool stuff, and definitely have Ian on. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then other on-camera stuff, I was the uncle who works at Nintendo in the Devolver Digital 2020 special, which was their fake E3 Direct, Nintendo Direct. Worked on Pearl Jam Lightning Bolt behind the scenes. I've worked on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, lots of shorts, a number of music videos locally, stuff like that. So that's primarily what I've done, apart from
I like that. That was smooth. That was smooth.
I'll take the baton there.
Stuff I'm proud of coming up.
Yeah. No, well, and the reason that Andy is gracious enough to like let me answer what we've worked on is because the list of my stuff is almost exclusively things that he's worked on too. I got my start in prose, short stories, poetry, book writing, stuff like that. But in the late 2000s, I sold a screenplay, and stuff started happening to my career, and a producer approached me to maybe work on something here locally based on something I'd written. And while we were working on that, the opportunity came up to do something that Andy and I have worked on together, which is Glitch, which is a live action 6-episode comedy season. I didn't get a second season, but that's like our big thing that we worked on together, that we're still like really, really proud of. That's how we met. He came over, I don't think it was literally the first time we'd interacted, but he came over to the apartment where we were doing the show stuff, and saw a joke up on the screen and laughed at it. And it was a joke that, like, I don't think maybe 9 people on Earth would get. Like, it was such a small faction of people that would possibly even understand what the reference was, let alone why it was funny. And we were just kind of like super friends like after that. And what was that?
How awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was really funny. So we worked on Glitch, which was like a guy going through a quarter life crisis, has 8-bit and old school video game glitches start interfering with his real life. Like, it was I don't know, kind of a punk rock sitcom. It was good. We did that together. It was fairly successful. It was supposed to be a Microsoft project, but that didn't end up working out. So it got released on Blip TV, which is now defunct, but we got a few, I don't know, million views from that. So and then that led to a bunch of other screenplay opportunities and commercials. We've done, I don't know, like 40 something commercials together, mostly for Big Fish games, some improv commercials and scripted commercials both. We've both starred or appeared in some of those commercials as well. And then I've done a bunch of other little stuff. I've done videos for the YMCA and I don't know what else. Yeah, a commercial for a dog company, and I work with my sister too, who is the director of the only profitable middle school program in the country. And when the whole quarantine happened, she started doing pre-recorded Zoom plays, and I started helping with all of those, which has been really exciting. And then we've had a couple of almosts, like we almost got to make a feature film with a pretty big budget that didn't end up working out. And now we are doing a YouTube show together. It's probably about, I don't know, I'm missing some stuff, I'm sure.
Well, we definitely have a lot of stuff that we've both done that will never see the light of day, either because the people who were in charge of it ran out of money, or the project itself hit a snag or something like that. So there's a lot of that I think we're both proud of as well, but it will just never get released, unfortunately, which is, you know, that's part of the game. That's part of this industry is
Right.
yeah.
I
Right.
think we have as many not successes as we do successes. It's why at the beginning of your show you said something about celebrity, and I was trying not to laugh. Like that's not us. We are not celebrities.
That's not us. Well, you know what I mean, like entertainment, artists,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. All that. It just a broad description. So, but yeah. But it does seem like between you guys do have an impressive body of work. So I mean that's a lot of work you guys seem to be doing, and that's impressive.
Well, and I'll say that we've worked together now for like 10 years, and Andy is good at story, and I am a writer, and I'm pretty okay with the camera, and Andy's the cinematographer, and I do the directing. Sometimes Andy does, and we both edit, and we have some special effects skills. And then our third musketeer of Your Lame Friends, Taylor, he also edits with us, and kind of between the three of us, we are already our own little boutique. We can kind of make something for the full pipeline, like from inception and idea all the way through to post, color, and sound. I mean, if it's only the three of us, it takes longer than if there was a full team, but we kind of have the ability to make a project from start to finish from scratch ourselves.
That's impressive. That really is. You guys, like I said, you guys have an impressive body of work between you guys, and it's something to be absolutely proud of. As Andy said, unfortunately, it's part of the game, the entertainment industry. Sometimes stuff, money does run out. People in charge don't always follow through. So, but
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, when there's like what is it called, a blacklist for screenwriting that screenplays that haven't been written 10, 15 years, they get developed after so long. So you never know. You guys stuff can still get developed. There's always still hope. So.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, we've got plans and aspirations, and I don't know. Everything only ends once. Everything until then is just progress, right?
Right. Exactly. Going on to my number 3 question, which actually kind of ties into a little bit number 2, but kind of different. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of being part of film and writing and screenwriting and voice work and everything? What's some of the most rewarding aspects? Andy, we'll start with you.
So for me, part of this is related to the fact that my day-to-day work is software engineering, and in software engineering, specifically the discipline of software engineering I'm in, which is test, there's not a ton of tangible output from the work you do. You work very, very hard, but the only time you get output is when something bad happens. So it actually becomes a negative loop. With filmmaking, one of my favorite things is the positive loop. It's that, it's coming up with an idea, seeing it in your head, transforming it, because I think filmmaking more than anything is translating an idea in your head to something that ends up in everyone else's head via their eyes being put on the screen. And that process is basically you sort of carving that out of real, tangible, real world things like film and sound and music. So seeing that process lead to a product that actually goes up on a screen and elicits emotion in other people, I think is probably the most rewarding part. I also really like problem solving a lot, which Tyler touched on. I think the most fun we have in film is when stuff's going not quite right.
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
You don't want a total disaster, but you don't want stuff to go so smooth it's just a boring job.
Yeah.
And then fooling the audience is I will always love watching the audience not see the duct tape and bubblegum holding a scene together, or not see the terrible oh, it was 10 degrees that day, but it looks like a sunny beach. That kind of
or
stuff.
Vice versa, yeah.
And vice versa, yeah. It's more often vice versa, in fact. So yeah, that's what I love.
Love it. Mr. Tyler, going to you, same question.
Well, I mean, Andy touched on a really good point. that I wasn't, I was thinking about when he was talking, but I hadn't really thought about it beforehand. But yeah, I think the stories that that we tell each other the most about, like when we were on set filming, are all funny stories about how we ran headfirst into a brick wall of not knowing what we were doing, and then kind of through, problem solving and our own like experience and competence and just thinking outside the box, like figured out a solution to some problem that we didn't even know we were going to have beforehand. So like one thing that I love about filmmaking is, when you're watching like the Olympics or some really great athlete perform something, and it's like they do a triple backflip or whatever, and the whole room is hushed, and then all of a sudden they land and everybody jumps to their feet, applauding. I think because for a second they really weren't sure if the thing that athlete was doing was possible, because that athlete is like performing right at the very, very frontier of their own ability. They're pushing themselves, right up to what they know and then a little bit past it. And that's what's so dangerous and thrilling. And there's something about that with filmmaking where, at least so far, we haven't had the opportunity to like rest on our laurels or do something like easy. We've always had a lot of constraints, like budget, time, trying new stuff, like technical, whatever it is. And so we're operating outside of our comfort zone, kind of without a net, and we're always doing stuff that we're not sure if we can actually achieve. Like we think we probably can before we get started, but then we do it and we find out if we're right. And that's my favorite part, is just not really knowing how things are going to go, and then like rolling with the punches and being improvisational and problem solving on the fly. Sorry, that was all just what I thought of when Andy was talking about his response. And then the other thing I would say is, like, I love storytelling. I love like putting something into the world that I wish existed and didn't and hasn't yet. Just like stories I wish I could see, or things that I find interesting that I don't see. And then the other thing I would say is I have aphantasia. When I mentally picture something, I don't actually see a thing, which is, I didn't know people really did that. I thought the whole like picture something in your brain until recently was just a metaphor, but I have aphantasia. So when I think about stuff, it's all conceptual and abstract, and it isn't like visual, but I still have some instinct about all that stuff buried in my head. And so for me, starting with an idea that doesn't have a visual in my head, but has an emotion and a palette and a feel and a concept and a spatial awareness and all this other stuff, and then manifesting that into the final product that is visual, that I can experience visually, is like one of the most rewarding things I can think of.
Love it. Love it. I love that whole thing. That was beautifully said there, Mr. Tyler.
Thanks.
Absolutely. So going on to the number 4 question. This is a little bit of a fun question. I'm going to answer, of course, Mr. Andy, you're going to be going first. But if you guys had a chance to work with any creative director, name 3 directors you would like to work with. Mr. Andy, you're first.
Well, that's a tough question, because, it's a different answer if it's, do I want to work with him because it gets me in punching range, Christopher Nolan? You know that you're on my list. or do I want to work with them because they're interesting? So directors I would like to work with because they are interesting or challenging. I would love to work with John Waters, who I think broke so many barriers, and he didn't just break them the way we normally think of someone breaking a barrier, where they knock it over and take one more step. John Waters hurdled them, turned around, burned them to the ground, and then had an entire parade of just fabulous people walk over the ashes. And I think that was just, it's amazing to imagine someone like Waters making films in the late 60s, the 60s and 70s. Then I would say this is utterly not for any good reason. I don't think I would bring anything to the productions of these 2 people, but they are just, this would be me sitting on the sidelines watching heroes work. And that would be James Gunn and Jordan Peele. I think are kind of the 2 don't tell me Absolutely. What the hell to do directors right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd love to work with, all the big names, Peter Jackson and stuff like that, just to see what their sets look like more than anything, just to kind of see. I don't even like Zack Snyder's work, but I would love to be on a Zack Snyder set, 100%.
We would be the Statler and Waldorf on a Zack Snyder set, I feel like.
We really would. We really would. It would be amazing.
Zack Snyder's shooting something. You should shoot me. Oh!
4x3. I knew this kid was a square. So, but yeah, the last two are absolutely positively. I know that I would not really bring anything positive to the set. It would just be
to learn from them.
Just to learn, just 100% to learn. But John Waters, I would love to. And as scary as this sounds, I would love to get my hands dirty on a John Waters set.
Oh, beautiful choices. Love it. Love it. Mr. Tyler, same question goes to you.
Such a tough question. That's a good one, though. Okay, well, I'm going to have to go with two Davids. I'm going to have to say David Lynch and David Fincher would have to be on my lists. I think David Fincher, okay, I write stuff that I hope to direct, but David Fincher is some kind of next level wizard that I would love to write something one day good enough that David Fincher might just take it and run with it. And then I would love to be on set for that, to watch him work. But like Andy said about Jordan Peele and James Gunn, I don't know if I would contribute anything to that set. I think I would just like to have written something that Fincher wanted to make and then just watch him do it, because I would get a lot out of that experience. And then David Lynch, I think is a genius. I think he's one of the 10 people in the history of Hollywood that you could actually call a genius. I think that everything he makes is brilliant, and I'm absolutely in love with his insanity. And so I would love to work with him, just to hang out and hear the stories and stuff, but also because I really respect all of his films, but his brain works differently than mine, and much more abstractly. And I don't really understand all the things that are going on with him. So I would love to see if, my brain and his brain would be like oil and water, or if there would be something kind of cool and different you could get out of that experience.
Yeah.
And then I gotta pick a third person. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, maybe.
Good.
The woman who made Fleabag. I don't know if she's an actual director. I think she's directed a couple episodes, but she's a creator. It's kind of the same thing. She's making stuff that's braver and kind of more out there. Greta Gerwig would maybe be my other answer if Phoebe Waller-Bridge doesn't count as a director. But like people who are kind of pushing a different sort of envelope than Hollywood normally pushes, and is a few levels more advanced, talking about things than we currently culturally are in Hollywood for the most part. I think that'll be my third answer. It's kind of a cheat, but
I love it.
Great. I think it's great.
Yeah, I love all the answers that you guys give. I do love Greta Gerwig, Jordan Peele. He's just become a master of storytelling, beautifully, blending, and horror with intelligence, and just kind of putting out a new, different perspective of that. So I think all you guys,
good.
Yeah, I think both of you guys' choices are amazing. But I'm going to kind of skip a few questions here, just gentlemen. Zoom's gonna kick us out here in a couple minutes, so I just want to get at least 2 more questions in before they do. Where can the J Lounge follow you guys and your work? I want to make sure they keep up with everything that you guys do. Where are you guys on social media? Andy?
If you go to watch.yourlamefriends.com, that'll take you to our YouTube page. You can also just search for us on YouTube at Your Lame Friends. And at Your Lame Friends is our primary Twitter handle. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Reddit, we're on all those places, but we don't have any real content on there currently. So Twitter's probably the best place to follow us for the most up-to-date info. And again, that's at Your Lame Friends. But the biggest thing is just please go to the YouTube page and check out our stuff. Check out our archive too, because I think our older stuff shows you just kind of where our narrative heart lies. Our new stuff is mostly, show, like YouTube show based, but our older stuff is where our narrative teeth were really cut, and I think it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's my answer is the same, is just go to YouTube and type in Your Lame Friends. This year we started a show that it's a comedy based on editing and our conversations, but we just talk about movies. That's all Your Lame Friends is, but it's awesome. It's a good time. Come hang out with us in the Murder Shed. Also on that channel, you can find in the archive like everything that we have worked on together that we talked about. Yeah.
I love it. I do. So I highly encourage my audience. Make sure you guys go out and support Andy and Tyler. They're amazing. Make sure you go follow their work, check it out, and just, give them support. Give them a hello too. That's also good too. Going on to the next question. I do want to get this question in. What future projects are you guys involved with that you can dish to the J Lounge audience?
Andy's got something good.
Yeah, I've got so there. I recently, like literally last week, wrapped on an appearance on Three Busy Debras, which is an Adult Swim HBO show. So I'll be in an episode of that, which is pretty cool. We have a number of things on the back burner that we are part of. This is sort of getting to the point where we can fund a feature film. That's part of why we're doing the YouTube channel, and just part of why we do what we do. So we have a couple of ideas. One is a early 2000s period horror piece about some kids growing up in a small town and using video games as an escape. We like video games, and we were both again latchkey kids.
Latchkey kids for life.
We were both very shaped by video games because I had more video games than friends by far, and I had 3 video games. So yeah, and WCW wrestling was not the best one. So
no, right.
It was sad. But we also have, and this is, Tyler came up with one of my all-time favorite phrases, extra natural thriller. It's not preternatural, it's not supernatural, it's extra natural. Something is wrong and nobody discusses it, but it's there.
Something is not quite possible in the real world. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Everything science fiction, fantasy kind of counts as extra natural, but our favorite one is just there's something realistic about everything, and then there's just like one thing that can't be possible, and the way that has tendrils into the rest of reality, let's say.
Yeah, actually, why don't you take talking about some of the other potential future stuff? I'm trying to be as vague as I can while also still being informative, but it's tough.
Yes.
Sure. We're so first of all, the things that are on the horizon